Hello everyone and welcome back to the life and suffering of Prince Jerian. So in the last episode we finally got the full game. We're actually jumping into all the political intrigue, all the family intrigue and everything. For the most part everything has been going pretty well. My family don't seem too shady, oddly enough. It seems like my ancestors are far more shady than my actual present family, so there's that. Other than that, not really a whole lot else going on. We kind of screwed over our uncle and trying to talk to his fiance. I did it purely for stats. I did not do it because I was actually trying to get with her, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, we did turn around and let our father go on a bit of a pilgrimage. He needed a bit of a, mental health retreat in order to get away from the strenuousness of the throne, and heavy is the head that wears the crown and such. But it did cause us some problems. We did take a hit to our sanity. So now we'll go ahead and continue. That last video was quite long, so this one will probably be long too, but let's continue on. Hopefully we can at least make it through the next chapter, but we'll see how long my voice can last. A gust of wind burst through the open window, making the curtains flap. The gilded candelabras sparkle in the sun. You hear birdsong and the gentle murmur of the fountain out in the courtyard. You're training Hector, but the puppy is in a playful mood. The whole palace can probably hear him barking his head off. A servant silently enters the room to inform you that the royal family is expecting you for the customary Sunday dinner. You head to the dining hall, trying to predict whether your father will be there. He spent the last couple of days cooped up in his chambers. Your mother keeps telling you how important family traditions are to Uther. Sometimes it seems like your father cares more about his family than the empire. It is the very cornerstone of his reign. So what will happen if he loses faith in your family one day? Will it undermine the authority of the Tempests? You suppress these anxious thoughts, focusing on the lively conversation that awaits you at the dinner table. You even pick out a few funny stories to share with your loved ones. It's not often that the rooms of the Archnean palace are filled with laughter. You stride into the dining hall, eager to see your family. Crystal glasses sparkle on the dining room table, illuminated by the warm glow of the fireplace. Servants begin bringing in the dishes. Uncle Cornelius has pushed his cutlery aside and is busy going through a stack of papers as he discusses college affairs with Gaius. Ferdinand has his nose in a book and doesn't seem to notice anything around him. Servilia watches to make sure the food is served properly, occasionally snapping at the servants. The tall chair at the head of the table stands empty. An invisible weight settles on your shoulders. It looks like your father won't be coming, and the mood at the table couldn't be further from the carefree happiness you were imagining just minutes ago. Servilia's smile is pointedly pleasant as she greets you. Jerian, I hope you didn't come bearing a stack of papers under your arm too. It seems like some of our family members can't tell a dining room from a study. You give your mother a strange smile, but no one else seems to react. Cornelius does not break off his conversation with Gaius, and Ferdinand is still looking at his book. Servilia puts her fork down with a clatter. I suppose you all must be disappointed by the Emperor's absence this evening, my dear family. But is that any reason for us to ignore each other? Of course not. I'm sure Uther will join us as soon as he feels better. Don't you think that it's inappropriate to discuss work at a family dinner, Cornelius? Cornelius looks up at Servilia, clearly annoyed by the interruption. Gaius clears his throat. Ferdinand sets his book aside, his eyes twinkling with curiosity and spiteful glee. I'm sorry if I don't fit into your picture of a perfect family, Empress, but kindly let me be the judge of when it's appropriate to discuss important matters of state. Okay. Servilia gives him a curt nod. Cornelius crosses his legs and goes back to his conversation with Gaius. Suddenly, your mother stands up and marches over to Cornelius's seat, all trace of her smile gone. Before anyone can react, she rips the papers out of his hands and throws them into the burning fireplace. Everyone stops, flabbergasted. Ferdinand reflexively hides his book behind his back. With a forceful exhale, your mother returns to her seat as though nothing had happened. Her face is the picture of affable politeness, her slightly pursed mouth the only thing that betrays her annoyance. White as a sheet, Cornelius slowly rises from his seat. His fists are clenched, and his voice trembles when he speaks. I've had to shoulder the responsibility for the entire empire lately. I didn't want to waste time on family get-togethers when so many things demand my urgent attention. But I still came out of respect for my family, and this is how you thank me? By incinerating the document I've been losing sleep over for the last week? If you had even a modicum of respect for your family, you'd pay attention to us instead of covering the dinner table with papers. You never dared to act like this in front of Uther, so what has changed? Gaius slumps over in his seat, fidgeting with the tablecloth. Ferdinand leans forward as though he doesn't want to miss a single moment of this. Hector starts barking somewhere on the other side of the door. Well, if that's the case, I'll stop wasting my time here. I have a meeting with Professor Condorcet, the Dean of the Imperial College tonight, though I suppose that's of little interest to you, Empress. Cornelius glares at the fireplace as it crackles away merrily. Pursing his lips, he turns to face you and your brother. When he speaks, his voice is cold and businesslike. Professor Condorcet is going to make a speech on a proposed economic reform to a gathering of major industrialists from all the provinces. Jerian, Ferdinand, you should attend too. This speech is of great importance to the future of the Empire. Is that so? Then you're excused, Cornelius. You've disrespected us enough tonight. Servilia pauses to look at everyone gathered at the table. Her face is a mask of calm politeness, but her voice rings like steel. The same applies to the rest of you. If you have nothing to say to each other, I suggest we end this farce right now. Do not burden either yourselves or me with the pretense that ancestral traditions mean anything to you at all. Ma'am, respectfully, we do have an empire to run. You notice the corner of your mother's pursed lips quivering imperceptibly. She pauses for a moment, then picks up a fork and helps herself to a piece of blackberry glaze pheasant, which has grown cold by now. A servant brings out dessert, a cake covered in snow-white frosting topped by the Tempest family crest. Without another word, Cornelius wipes his lips with a napkin and departs. Ferdinand quietly apologizes to the Empress and hurries after him. You remain at the table in the company of Gaius and Servilia. Both of them are silent. You have no desire to eat. Your uncle carefully pours himself some wine. Your thoughts whirl as you struggle to come up with a solution to this mess. Should you intervene and try and reconcile your family, or would you be better off following Uncle Cornelius to the college? You gaze at your empty plate, trying to decide what's the most important to you right now. Okay, so I have Servilia should apologize. That would bring her down to 2. And that would bring up Cornelius and Gaius up to 5 and 2 respectfully. Cornelius should apologize. That would bring Cornelius down by 1. Servilia up to 4. Gaius up to 2. Okay. Uther must reconcile everyone. That'll bring my father's relationship down by 1, but we're pretty good with him. Or I can go to the college, and that's going to virtually piss off everyone. You're not going to play the peacemaker for your family. It's time to focus on the affairs of the empires. Now, my stats with the commoners will go up by 2. My logic goes up by 1. I lose some passion. I get some management. But again, my stats with Uther, Servilia, and Gaius goes down by 1. Gaius will be at 0. Jesus Christ, come on. So I think I am going to once again use Cornelius as the battering ram that he is most of the time, because I do have some sway with him. So I'll go ahead and hit him with another one so I can bring Servilia up by 1, but also mainly to bring Gaius up because yeah, I kind of need that right now. So sorry, Cornelius, but you will convince your uncle to make a step toward reconciliation. Oh, and I also forgot to mention there was a setting that I did not notice that you can use in the settings, of course, where you can turn around and hold the button in order to make a decision as instead of just clicking something, so that way you don't make a mistake. So I've cut that on. You catch up to Cornelius right as he's about to enter his study and follow him inside. It takes some time for his torrent of indignation to fizzle out, but you're patient. You give him a chance to vent. Eventually, Cornelius sits down at his desk to busy himself with the papers. He needs to recreate the burned document as soon as possible while the details are still fresh in his mind. Taking the chair across from your uncle, you bluntly state that your mother is in a terrible state right now. Cornelius doesn't answer you at first, but scribbling something with jerky movements. Scribbling something with jerky movements. The pause goes on too long. I understand why you're here. You want me to admit I was wrong and apologize to Servilia. You're wasting your time, Jerian. I'm sorry, but I have important matters to attend to. You push your uncle's papers aside, careful not to ruin them, and pin him with an unflinching gaze. You remind him of your father's failing health and stress that a rift in the family will make Uther even worse. And while Cornelius's anger is somewhat understandable, is it really appropriate for the great chancellor to stoop to such childish squabbles? Your mother is a proud, willful, sometimes impulsive woman, and today she was overcome by the fear that your family unity would be destroyed. Despite how difficult she can be, indifference to her family's well-being is not one of her flaws. Is Cornelius Tempest even more willful than her? Will he not find the strength and wisdom to take just one step toward reconciliation? Cornelius heaves a sigh, averting his gaze. His eyebrows are pinched, his jaws clenched tight in frustration. Any fights between us are detrimental to the entire family and consequently to the Empire. Please don't take me for someone who puts his personal agenda above the interests of the realm. Still, you're asking me to apologize when I'm not the one at fault. Your uncle gets up and starts pacing, his hands clasped behind his back. You tell him that your mother has no hope for reconciliation. She'd sooner believe that sinners at the foot will receive forgiveness than that Cornelius could swallow his pride to put the family's good before his own. A very cheap manipulation, nephew, but I will do as you ask. Not for you or for Servilia, only because I am worried about your father. Cornelius walks out of his office without another word, his face as hard as stone. You spend the rest of the day racked by worries and doubts. Was this the right call? Maybe you should have convinced your uncle to apologize. You shouldn't have convinced your uncle to apologize to Servilia after all. What if it makes an unpleasant situation even worse? But when the next Sunday rolls around, a servant comes to summon you to the customary family dinner. You enter the hall with slight trepidation, only to find your family sitting at a food-laden table once more. Cornelius is in the middle of an animated discussion with Servilia, and Ferdinand is telling a joke he overheard in a low-born neighborhood. Gaius laughs easily and, leaning close to your ear, quietly thanks you for resolving the family conflict. There's no longer any patronizing note in his words. It seems he now sees you as an equal. Your mother squeezes your hand quietly as you take the seat next to her. It's unclear whether she has any inkling of the conversation you had with Cornelius, but you think you see a hint of gratitude in her eyes. You smile. The atmosphere of domestic bliss and mutual support covers you like a blanket. You spend the evening laughing together, exchanging friendly barbs, talking about this and that, and sharing pleasant memories. Cornelius's smile is reserved whenever he looks at you. He leaves as soon as the meal is done without giving so much as a parting glance. Now you get over it. Come on, man. Like, you're the great chancellor. You're basically running the empire at this point, and you want to be a spoiled brat. Come on. You pull the overly tight collar of your ceremonial robe away from your neck to give yourself some breathing room. Several servants are bustling about, getting you dressed. You're hidden from prying eyes in a smaller inner room of the temple. While you're getting ready, worshippers are gathering in the hall on the other side of the wall. A thin Arctian man stands in front of you like a solemn statue. His face is lined with age, but his eyes are still sharp. This is Terentius Ogrif, the Pontifex Maximus. He keeps a watchful eye on the servants' work, making sure that everything is done properly, in accordance with ancient canon and unwritten rules. Catching your gaze, Ogrif tilts his head and starts speaking. This rite used to be performed by your august father, but you're going to take his place today, Your Highness. You will honor the pact between the twin gods and House Tempest by delivering their grace unto your people. Please allow me to refresh your memory. You will need to say a prayer in front of the congregation, then let your sacred blood flow, becoming a conduit to the twins' grace. Thus will the twins' divine love reach their flock. Still tugging at your collar, you cautiously ask the Pontifex Maximus, how can you be a conduit of the divine love if you have not received a priest's sacrament? Not to worry, Your Highness. As a Tempest, you had your sacrament when you entered the blood tide. The pact with the twin gods wasn't made with you personally, but rather with your blood tide, which means that all your ancestors and descendants are beholden to it. A Tempest's lot is to be the tool of the twins in the land of the living. A chill runs down your spine despite the sweltering heat. It's a strange feeling, knowing that you were chosen by the gods. The servants fasten a heavy fur-lined mantle to your shoulders, then spread the train out on the floor behind your back. It takes some effort to not bend backwards beneath the bulk. It's even harder to breathe with the added weight piled on top of you. You feel a drop of sweat trickle down your spine. Taking yet another gulp of air, you ask Ogrif why the ceremonial dress has to be so uncomfortable. It's summer after all. Why do you need to wear a warm mantle? The purpose of this ceremony isn't your comfort, Your Highness. It's not for you at all, if I may be so bold. It is for your people and the gods you serve. The Pontifex's words are not unkind, but they still feel like fingernails on a chalkboard. You cringe involuntarily. You don't get the chance to ask any more questions before an acolyte announces you to the crowd. The tall, heavy doors creak open. You take several steps forward and stop on a raised platform overlooking the enormous ceremonial hall. Hundreds of churchgoers have gathered inside the room, and you can see through the open temple gate that the square outside is crowded as well. Their quiet chatter dies down. Everyone is looking at you. You close your eyes and start reciting a prayer, trying to think about the twins and build a connection with them. You used to feel the divine presence so vividly whenever you visit the temple. Guess what will you feel now when you're supposed to act as a conduit for the twins' love? Their grace is about to flow through you and touch everyone present. Will you be able to withstand the onslaught of the divine power? You approach the grim statue of the younger and run your hand along his blade. You call out to the twins with your whole heart. You raise your cut palm high in the air and let your blue blood flow freely. Blood for faith. You cry out. Your cry cuts through the silence like thunder. The boundless sea of people answers in kind. Faith for blood. Good Lord. The people look skyward and some unfathomable light seems to illuminate their faces. You see smiles and hear delighted peals of laughter. Boundless joy overtakes the crowd. They reach for you, their eyes shining with bliss as they cry out to praise the twins. You wait for the same emotions to grip you, but there's nothing. You try to resonate with the divine presence like everyone else, but it's all in vain. Not even an echo of the twins' grace reaches you. Your mind is crystal clear as you look over the congregation. Your hand hurts. The rough fabric of your robes digs into your throat. All the while, the crowd before you is going mad from the joy you've bestowed upon them. Once the elated high settles a little bit, someone addresses you from the front rows. It's one of the New Faith priests clad in a white robe, praising you and the twins. He shouts that since the twins shower the people with their love through the tempests, it would only be fair for you to show the gods how much the people love them too. The priest asks whether this is within the scope of your abilities, since the tempests are the gods' conduits and tools in this world. Before you can react, another priest, this one clad in the black garb of the old believers, shouts back in indignation that mortals have nothing to offer the gods. The twins are absolute. They grant everyone their law and their love, and that is enough. The people have nothing they might need. The priests start arguing, but after a while they turn to you. They want the conduit of divine grace himself to say whether he can convey mortals' love to the twins. Does he feel that the gods would accept it? All eyes are trained on you once more. The crowd goes silent, waiting for your answer, but you don't have one. Should you tell them what the New Faith priest wants to hear, or should you claim that the Old Faith believers is right? Or should you tell the truth and admit to your own confusion? So I could tell the truth. I would get some scholarship and my relationship with Terentius Orgriff would go up. I could side with the old believers. My law would go up, my love would go down, and of course my relationship with the old faith clergy would go up. Or I could side with the new believers. My law would go down, my love would go up, and my new faith clergy would go up as well. So, I think I will side with the new believers, because the new believers are kind of in line with the commoners, and I seem to kind of be going along that path anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I really don't like losing my law stat though, and I kind of would want to go with this, but I kind of want to go ahead and get that to 13. So yeah, let's go with the new believers. You turn your attention inward and try and find the answer, but there's nothing. The gods are dead silent. Still, you need to tell these people something. Supporting the new faith priest seems like a good decision. You proclaim that you are communicating the love of everyone present to the twins as you speak, and they value it just like mortals value their divine grace. As soon as you say that, a cacophony of voices comes crashing over you. Hundreds of people shout words of love for you to pass on to the twins. In an effort to make themselves heard, everyone tries to scream loud enough to drown out the rest. You stand there frozen, stunned by the roar of the crowd. They express their love with such fervor that you can't help but sympathize with them. You might be deaf to the twins' grace, but you can hardly ignore these people's love. When the noise starts to die down, the Pontifex Maximus appears behind you and takes you back to the room beyond the tall double door. You're full of surprises, Your Highness. Terentius Orgriff gives you a long, piercing look. He seems to be perfectly aware of the fact that you just lied. I'm aware that you must have a lot of questions. You'll get your answers in due course, but for now, I'll need to reassure the flock. The Pontifex Maximus walks away, leaving you alone in the empty room. You're finally free to rip the heavy mantle from your shoulders and undo the button on the hateful collar. Today, you gave your subjects hope that the gods hear them and accept earthly love. You've bestowed the twins' grace upon thousands of people, but why has it passed you by? There is no one nearby to answer. You fall to your knees in exhaustion. Interesting. And I do kind of wonder if some of that is because of the whole blood tide thing. Maybe the blood tide kind of suppresses how you actually interact with the gods. Because it doesn't seem like, I think, if I remember correctly, you did have a bit of an experience when you were younger. But like beyond that, you haven't had anything I think experience wise, since you've kind of taken on the blood tide. So maybe the blood tide kind of silences the twins and stuff. So I don't know, but we'll see. The Advance of the New Faith. Erna 1133. Protocol of the Sixth Assembly of the Acolytes of the New True Faith, committed to writing by Father Brian, who was present at said assembly. The assembly received a report from Luke, Patriarch of Archnia, pertaining to the following. Item the first. The unbearable loss of Photis, Patriarch of Margra, summoned by the twins to their side in the autumn, but not the winner of his years. An ungodly crime had been committed. Photis was stabbed to death in broad daylight in Anazet's main square as he delivered a divinely inspired sermon to the multitudinous flock there present. May his soul rest in the shadow of the silver tree, and may he know bliss upon the peak of the shining pillar. Item the second. The theological training of new believers for the purpose of debate and swaying those in doubt to join our cause. Patriarch Luke reports with all fervor that it is necessary to converse with the flock wisely and at length so that our people might better absorb the wisdom of the new faith and be led to the true path. The next speaker was High Priest Stephen. Item the first and only. The Venerable Stephen reported, citing much evidence, that the allowances of the clergy must be increased. In particular, their meat rations must be 2, or at least 1.5 measures more, so that the gentlemen of the cloth might not be in such need as they are today. The assembly also heard from Junius Diamant, Patriarch of Astinia. Item the first and only. Patriarch Junius provided valuable insight with his report, in which he counted every lay soul that had joined the truth of the new faith over the past year. The Honorable Patriarch Junius also proposed several methods of increasing the number of converts even further, as well as what words and deeds might be used to explain the new faith. In their infinite wisdom, the assembly has arrived at the following decision. Item the first. The new faith shall distribute a pamphlet entitled The Blindness of Isotaeus to the priests in every province. Following a brief debate during this self-same assembly, said pamphlet was recognized as the best explanation of the old faith's error. Having read it, every priest will be able to support his Olamex with greater wisdom. Item the second. From this month onwards, Patriarch Luke shall preach 2 to 4 sermons to larger gatherings so that he might not waste his breath. Father Savarilo, who is respected by the laity, has volunteered to choral the flock to said sermons in sufficient numbers. Item the third. The new faith shall find places in the capital suitable for the construction of new churches, and, once this is done, submit petitions to begin said construction. Insofar as the number of parishioners is growing, the new faith must be bolstered with additional churches to accommodate its flock. Item the fourth and last. The decision regarding the increase of meat rations will be postponed until the next assembly, which is scheduled for the 7th month. The day will be announced later, for the 7th month is rife with rain and the roads could become mudlocked, rendering travel inconvenient. Alrighty, so we are kind of getting out of the religious dogmatism. Now, I wonder if that would have happened if I turned around and sided with either the old faith or with the pontifex. The thick carpet feels slightly springy beneath your feet as you stride across the palace to find your mother. You have an important find to share with her. The court archivist has just presented you with a volume of Tempest genealogy records from the pre-imperial period that was previously thought to be lost. You expect the Empress to appreciate this more than anyone else. I have a suspicious feeling she won't. The door to your mother's private quarters is slightly ajar, so you walk right in, too excited to knock and wait. Sir, that is never a good thing to do. The view that greets you, however, makes you turn beet red. Your Uncle Cornelius has his arms around Servilia's waist as he kisses her neck passionately. Oh God. Your mother is running her fingers gently through his hair, whispering sweet nothings to him. When Cornelius looks over to find you standing in the doorway, his expression is annoyed rather than embarrassed. So the snippets of rumors and allusions to your mother's infidelity circulating the palace are true after all. You preferred not to listen to them, but now your worst fears have been confirmed. Sir, am I a bastard? Your uncle says goodbye to your mother and leaves the room without so much as a single word in your direction. You watch him walk away, bewildered and still at a loss for words. When you finally regain your presence of mind, you take several decisive steps towards Servilia. She finally turns to you and you realize that her entire face is covered by a velvet mask. It is green and white, the colors of the Monroe crest. You try to sound confident as you demand an explanation, but there's still a telltale quaver in her voice. Servilia flings her arms up in the air. Her quiet laughter reminds you of a crystal ball chiming. The slits in the mask reveal merry sparks dancing in her eyes. Am I dreaming? Well, good day to you, Your Highness. I'm afraid you have the wrong person. I'm not your mother. My name is Servilia Monroe. You've caught us at the end of our rendezvous, but no matter. It's no secret that Cornelius Tempest holds a special place in my heart. But your expression tells me that you find this explanation lacking. My prince, perhaps your mother can explain it better than I. Servilia takes off her mask and her entire countenance transforms in a matter of seconds. Her relaxed bearing becomes strict and forbidding, and the look in her eyes grow cold. I'm sorry for not explaining this tradition to you sooner, son. Masks are an important part of our culture. When an Archnean puts on a mask, they quite literally become another person. As Empress Servilia Tempest, I would never betray my husband, nor would I put anything before my family. But Servilia Monroe, the person who appears when I don my maiden's mask, she's different. She still loves Cornelius and enjoys spending time with him. Okay, so when you put on a mask, you kind of like almost become a Targaryen, but when you don't have the mask on, then okay, no cheating. That's an interesting concept. You frown as you try to process her words. Your mother doesn't seem the slightest bit embarrassed or guilty. Her tone is patronizing, as though she's explaining dining etiquette to an uncouth commoner. You point out that despite the tradition, her behavior reflects poorly on House Tempest. The rumors of her affair with Cornelius have reached your ears as well, and gossip like that is unacceptable since it tarnishes the Emperor's reputation. Servilia lifts her head to look down her nose at you. Oh, I know where those rumors come from. Humans. They're just not cut out to be nobility. Those lowly pedestrian beings have no understanding whatsoever of Archnean culture. They need to be constantly reminded of their place in this world. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the Targaryens told everybody too. You are my son and the Emperor's heir. When you hear someone speak ill of our house, you should silence them with your sword instead of demanding explanations. See, the Jerian in you is starting to come out. I view you as the champion of our family's honor and interest, for our blood tide flows within you. Protecting this honor is your duty as a Tempest. The tradition of wearing masks is part of our great culture. Human minds are too feeble to grasp it. They ought not to speak of things beyond their understanding. I trust that your reign will be remembered in the glorious annals of the Tempest history as our golden age. So go forth and be our hero. defend our family honor and our Archnean culture, but ignorant people who dare to defame our house in their place. God. I can refuse, and I will get shattered hopes, but she will still be at a 3, but I think that would kind of screw things up because, yeah. I can protect my family honor. My influence with the nobility for humans will go down quite a bit. My diplomacy will go up by 1, and my opinion with my mother will go up by 1 as well. Or I can ask the other Archneans for help. That's just gonna cost me 5, right? It's getting kind of low. I need to be careful. Yeah, let's ask the other Archneans for help. Lock of Legacy. If my diplomacy was higher, I would have been able to do it without this, but because my opinion with Camille is higher, then I'm able to do it with that. So, oh, does this not cost me anything then? It doesn't. Oh, okay, cool. Your mother has high hopes for you, and this is just a reminder about your duty. You cannot let her down. Squaring your shoulders, you promise her that you will address the situation personally and put an end to the gossip. I knew I could count on you, darling. Thank you. You reach out to the leaders of Archnean nobility and ask them to defend your family's honor. You suggest that it would be only right if the incensed Archneans put a stop to the rumors that are tarnishing the Emperor's good name. Some of the nobles are willing to support you, but you still need to convince the leaders of the great houses and aristocratic orders. You write to Camille Monroe and ask her to meet. She replies by inviting you to a hunt that same day. You quickly change into something appropriate for the occasion and saddle a spirited black horse, declining the presence of your retinue. Oh boy. The sunlit forest seems to part before you and Camille as you ride side by side along the wide hunting trail. Your fair companion is dressed in a tight-fitting hunting suit and knee-high boots. She looks confident on horseback, her thighs gripping the saddle tightly. You explain to Camille the reason for your meeting and ask her to help you in this delicate matter. She smiles conspiratorially and lowers her voice to a whisper. I will help silence the gossip mongers who spread such monstrous rumors about the Empress and your uncle, but only in exchange for a favor, of course. There's one problem that gives me no peace, and if I do not resolve it, it will spoil my entire upcoming wedding to Gaius. So you want to have that wedding? Will you help me choose a dress for my wedding night? Oh, this is finna turn horrible. You look around, not sure how to react. There's no one around. Camille's face is utterly serious as she looks you straight in the eye. A horn blares somewhere in the distance, followed by the sound of barking dogs. It would seem that the master of the hounds has tracked down some game. Camille's lips stretch into a smile and she bursts out laughing, throwing her head back a little. Of course I will fulfill your request, Your Highness. After all, the Tempest family will soon become my family as well. You need not worry. She sets her spurs to her horse and rides away, kicking up a cloud of dust and dry leaves. You're left alone. Sometime later, a wave of courts of honor rolls through the Empire. Camille's professional duelist makes short work of any humans careless enough to disparage the Imperial House. After this bloody lesson, no one dares spread gossip about your family any longer. Oh, you know, sometimes you gotta turn around and, yeah, pop out on people. This event is triggered by your previous actions. Ferdinand Elbert. Oh, okay, so this is the one where he can go off on his journey. Cool. A cold, salty wind ruffles your hair as your carriage rattles along the chipped pavement. The air is thick with the smell of fish, seaweed, and damp wood. Your carriage enters the docks. You've never been to this part of the city before, so you're taking it all in, like a curious little boy. There are awkward wooden additions slapped onto the old stone buildings, clinging to them like parasites. Waves lap at the salt-damaged pier. Ferdinand is waiting for you in front of a huge old boathouse. You notice paint peeling off its chipped walls. The building probably hasn't been used in ages. Tar stains your brother's shirt. He has the sleeves rolled up, and there are wood shavings stuck in his chestnut curls. Seeing you, Ferdinand rushes forward to give you a hearty hug. You came. Come on, I'll show you my pride and joy. I know you're not easily surprised these days, but trust me, you've never seen anything like this before. A large stack of newly planned planks blocks your way as you enter the hangar. You look up to see a ship. How about that, huh? This beaut has sails that will let her go almost directly windward. Her hull is designed to tackle big waves, and her hold is so large it can fit whatever you might need for a long voyage. With a ship like this, we'll be able to sail the open sea instead of scuttling along the shoreline. We can go far away to lands unknown, and who knows what we might find there. Maybe different countries or peoples, never before seen plants, animals, or birds. And this ship is just the first of her kind. I'm going to build 2 more. We'll have a whole fleet before we know it. I've already started training shipwrights, but we need to train several sailing crews too. As you examine the ship, your brother provides an endless stream of information about its design. Ferdinand is flushed with excitement, his hair stuck to his forehead. His voice rings loud and clear across the hangar as he gesticulates wildly. You ask him how long it takes to learn open sea sailing. Surely it must be dangerous even for a skilled sailor. Well, of course, there's some danger, but you're just as likely to die falling off a horse, and a joyride is much less beneficial to the future of the Empire. But you're right, an endeavor like this needs trained professionals, people from the college or the military academy at the very least. It's high time we establish marine engineering and naval departments there. You suddenly hear a familiar voice behind you. Ferdinand freezes, his arms falling to his side. You turn around to face Uncle Gaius, who's standing in the doorway. He gives the hulking ship an unimpressed stare as he idly plays with an embroidered handkerchief. So this is where you've been all this time, Ferdinand. You must have forgotten that Servilia ordered you to write a treatise on the great tempests, compiling the deeds of our ruling ancestors into a single tome. We need it both to preserve our history and systematize various government practices. Yet here you are, doing something completely different. What I'm doing here is no less useful than treaties on government. The discoveries these sailors make could upend our entire worldview. Does that really seem unimportant to you? Well, for starters, no one would be crazy enough to sail off the gods know where. People have families and responsibilities here. They wouldn't abandon their whole lives for the sake of fruitlessly wandering the fringes of the world. Everyone knows the sea has nothing to offer us, except an ignominious death in ice-cold water. This will be a colossal waste of resources, and for what? To reach some nebulous goal you can't even describe properly? But you're neglecting work that will benefit the Empire right now. Your energy could be put to better use, Ferdinand. Ferdinand stares at Gaius Tempest defiantly, refusing to budge. There's no doubt in his mind that he's right, and this certainty gives him strength. There is a possibility that people will refuse to sail the open sea, but only because new ideas are always hard to accept. In that case, we can just take the choice away from them. Seafaring conscription would be no different from the military variety. It would be just another way to serve the Empire with honor. Okay, alright, buddy. Uncle Gaius pauses to wipe the dust from his traveling cloak, giving himself some time to think. He's clearly taken aback somewhat, but when he answers, his voice is as calm and firm as ever. As if trading your daily duties for foolish, selfish fantasies wasn't enough, you want to impose this stupidity on other people as well? You're a scion of House Tempest. You should invest your time into ensuring its prosperity. Instead, you're letting down your entire family and failing to meet the Empress's expectations. I can't stand digging through musty old books when I could be doing something tangibly useful. Who needs a treatise on the adventures of some dead men when they can explore undiscovered lands overseas? Enough. I had hoped your projects would at least serve the Empire, but now I see that you think only of yourself. Do not count on my support any longer, nor on that of anyone else in our family. I'm standing right here. And I advise you to remember your lot. The work you are engaged in is unworthy of a nobleman. As he says lot, Gaius reaches out and brushes fresh sawdust from Ferdinand's shoulder. Your brother flinches, turning to you with desperate hope in his eyes. Well, so I can't straight up support him. Why not? Oh, I would have needed more logic. That would have screwed up things with the human nobility, Servilia, and Gaius though, so I'm kind of glad. If I agree, that's gonna break my trust with Ferdinand, but of course bring things up with Gaius. You instruct your brother to refit the ships for trade within the Empire. Oh. So I'm screwed either way. Unless I just straight up support him. Man. Guys, why do you have to be so difficult? And agreeing with Gaius would give me some more legacy of the Tempests. Ah, this sucks. But unfortunately, I did get to this point because I wanted to get to this point. So I am going to support Ferdinand. It's looking like I'm going to end up having some beef with Gaius because, come on, man. I figured he would be a lot more craftier than this, but I guess he just seems to be an old head too. Support Ferdinand. Pure terror runs through you at the thought of Ferdinand's plan. It's too dangerous. You have no way of knowing what a gamble like that could lead to. You shake your head to try and clear your mind. You're so tense, sweat starts beading on your forehead. You clench your fists, grit your teeth, and push the fear deep down where it can't affect you anymore. You tell Uncle Gaius that the world is vast and full of wonders. It's such a shame that you haven't seen anything beyond Eterna. Your destiny prevents you from seeing the world, but you understand Ferdinand's dream, and you want to see it come true. You promise to help your brother put his plan into action. Gaius is so stunned by your words that he can't even bring himself to object. Still, you can tell how disappointed he is by his pursed mouth and the look in his eyes. Ferdinand gives you a warm hug, smearing some construction-grade adhesive on your jacket in the process. I knew I could count on you. I used to be the only one who believed in this vision, but now there's two of us. It's wonderful to know that I'm not alone in this big, wide world. You and Gaius share a carriage back to the palace, but he's silent the entire way there. His silence speaks louder than any words could. You've profoundly disappointed your uncle. That evening, Servilia summons you to her private chambers. You open the door to find her standing by the window with her back to you. She doesn't turn around. When she speaks, her voice is like a cold draft on a chilly night. Do you even realize what you're doing? There's nothing outside the Empire. Absolutely nothing, Jerian. We're going to lose Ferdinand and all those unfortunate people whom he takes with him to the depths of the sea. Your brother and hundreds of naval officers will die instead of remaining at home with their families and supporting us and the Empire through faithful service. Praise the twins. Building the fleet will take more than 1 year, and perhaps I will still be able to persuade Ferdinand. And for you, this time will be an opportunity to realize what mistake you have made and how you have failed us. You walk out of the room, your lips trembling. But whatever your family says, you've made your choice and you're going to stick with it. You see to it that the ship's officers are recruited from the Academy's latest graduating class. Of course, the humans selected are unlikely to be happy with an appointment so different from their previous plans and ambitions, but they're obligated to serve the Empire and won't disobey your orders. With your support, Ferdinand's fleet grows as more sailors and officers are trained for long distance voyages. You're almost ready to delve into the unknown and expand the boundaries of the known world for the sake of the Empire. With your support, Ferdinand's fleet grows as more... Oh, right there. Okay, so the human nobility goes down by 1. My scholarship goes up to adept. Other things go down with Servilia and with Gaius. I'm hoping there's going to be some event with Gaius where I can get at least 2 points with him, because I don't think I've had anything really with him so far that I could get just 2 points with him. I'm assuming it's going to be dealing with his fiance, but we'll see. Great, my sanity is screwed again. Wonderful. Something feels off within you. The past few days have been unsettling. You glance over your shoulder, sensing a presence. Though you can't see it, you instinctively know it's watching you with malice and contempt. Slowly, it dawns on you that it's your own gaze that keeps you restless. In the pane of a window, the sheen of the floorboards, the luster of the silverware, you catch a reflection of your face distorted by contempt. Isolation envelops you. Every day, the people around you seem less understanding, and you're growing increasingly irritable and withdrawn. Even the voice of your blood seems dulled, as if something is blocking it from reaching you. The night brings neither comfort nor rest. As dusk falls, fears creep around your bed, and anxiety crawls beneath your blanket, squeezing your fingers tightly. Every day, things get a little bit worse. You've blacked out more than once, only to be jolted awake by pain. Yesterday at dinner, you looked down and saw a fork embedded in your thigh, your fingers wrapped tightly around it. There you are, staring into the mirror. How long were you out this time? You don't have a clue. Is that you? Yes, you're looking at yourself. And it's your own hand holding the stiletto at your throat, poised to plunge it up to the hilt. A bead of blue blood trickles down the blade. Your legs feel weak, your heart pounding with terror. Time surges forward once more. You try to breathe, but the air catches in your throat. The reflection in the mirror narrows its eyes, fixing you with a menacing stare. Such is the fate of all traitors. You've betrayed us both, me and yourself. You've given up everything you were for the sake of abstract principles and values, for a meaningless purpose others have imposed upon you. You've destroyed us. Rejecting your own nature, conforming to narrow rules and ignoring your own true self. Is that truly the life you want? But why? What could be worth more than yourself? Blood trickles down your arm. You glance at your blood-soaked sleeve, then look up at your reflection. Softly, you say that you had no choice. You had to go against yourself. Is that so? And how much are you prepared to sacrifice? What else would you betray? You take a deep breath to steady yourself before replying. You've suffered much, but it wasn't enough. To preserve what's left of you, you'll have to let something go. Your sense of self is fractured, and more must be sacrificed to contain the fracture. Don't even think about it. Do you really think you can rid yourself of me along with a portion of your soul? You can't escape yourself, Jerian. You've already tried everything you could. You refuse to listen. A rotten branch must be pruned to preserve the tree. The choice of what to sacrifice is yours alone. Oh, God. So I can sacrifice blood, logic, or love. Oh, and no matter what, I completely lose the legacy of the Tempest. Great. Fantastic. I guess I'll go with love. At least it'll leave my love and my law balanced as opposed to being one way or the other. So sure, let's go with that. Then again, I could go with blood. I mean, hell, I'm already gonna lose. Yeah, I mean, I'm already gonna lose the legacy of the Tempests anyway, so fuck it, blood. You will sacrifice the power of your blood. The bond you share with your ancestors is too strong. Their voices control your every action. To save yourself, you will reject your lineage. Cut this part away from yourself. With a hand that feels like it belongs to someone else, you raise the stiletto to your face. The steel glides between your lips as you push the blade deeper. Your tongue brushes against the blade, leaving a metallic taste in your mouth. The tip touches the inside of your cheek, the pressure growing stronger. Your double glares at you with the look of pure hatred as your grip on the hilt tightens. His face contorts with fury. A desperate scream rings in your ears. Your scream. With a swift thrust, you drive the blade into your cheek. You feel the living tissues yield to the steel. Hear it split. Blood rushes into your mouth. Suddenly, your fingers feel strangely light. A wave of dizziness overwhelms you. The reflection shatters into countless fragments, flying towards your face. For a brief moment, the pain plunges the world into darkness. You find yourself sprawled out on the floor among broken shards. Spitting out blood, you realize that your cheek has been pierced from within. You raise your hand to apply pressure to the wound. It feels like the pulp of a piece of rotten fruit. At least you're finally alone now. In a weak voice, you call for the servants. You demand that a priest be brought to heal the wound and order them to get rid of the broken mirror. In its shards, you imagine a face twisted by a mad smile. There's no doubt the double will return should you betray yourself again. Great. Wonderful. I will say, I maybe this is just, of course, because I'm still early into the game, but I do kind of feel like that penalty is a bit harsh. I mean, I do understand the penalty to a certain degree, but I do, it's a tad harsh. It's a tad harsh. I kind of do wish it was more like Disco Elysium, where it was like when you had an issue like that or something like that, you had to find yourself. I would rather just turn around and have a situation where I'm going to have to either find my way through something and die or find my way through something and live, as opposed to just, I guess, kind of dragging it out. But, like I said, we'll see how it goes. Your brocade cravat feels scratchy against your neck. Your fingers keep twitching from the urge to loosen the knot at least a little bit. But you stop yourself. Today calls for full ceremonial dress. The palace is holding a reception to introduce you to your fiancée, the future empress. Oh, I didn't know I didn't have a choice. The hall is lavishly decorated and the food on the buffet table smells exquisite. Polished wine glasses sparkle on top of a crisp snow-white tablecloth. Banners bearing the Tempest coat of arms hang from the ceiling like dragon tongues. Several days ago, Servilia summoned you to her chambers for an important conversation. Her eyes were filled with motherly love as she offered you a demitasse of strong coffee before broaching the subject of your future nuptials. I'm sorry, I'm not rich enough to understand some of these words. My dear, I'm sure you realize that a crown princess marriage needs to comply with the interests of the empire, as well as our sacred traditions. Customarily, the future empresses are selected from the daughters of the great houses, in a very particular order. You've been matched with a young lady from House Ogriff. We've chosen the best of the best for you, darling. Oh, thanks. Your betrothed is a noble lady of rare beauty and quite intelligent at that. But more importantly, she's loyal. It's a distinguishing feature of her family. Her name is Lucrezia Ogriff, and we're holding a reception where you'll be introduced. Oh, okay. So here you are, anxious and excited as you stand in the reception hall with your mother by your side, peering into the crowd. Oh, crap. So I just remembered that. So my wife is, I'm assuming, the daughter of the Pontifex Maximus, the one that I just lied to earlier. Oh, that'd be great. The cursed cravat is almost choking you. Servilia catches your hand as you reach to loosen the knot, then fixes it herself with a smile. It feels even worse now. Suddenly, a surprised, perhaps even say alarmed murmur spreads through the crowd. You turn around to find Archduke Tarquinius Milanatus proudly striding through the hall with his daughter Octavia in tow. Wasn't Octavia in The Life and Suffering of Sir Bronte? You nod in response to his bow, inwardly perplexed. Why has the Milanatus' arrival unsettled everyone so much? Your mother touches your sleeve to get your attention, then indicates the stranger who has just entered the hall, accompanied by several Ogriff representatives. This must be your fiancé. A slender girl in a peach-colored gown of classic cut comes towards you. Her chestnut hair is arranged in an elegant hairstyle, soft features, an open, sincere gaze, and a sweet half smile. She offers you her hand, allowing you to brush a kiss against her slim wrist, then retreats to her relatives with a curtsy. You find yourself hesitant. It's impossible to tell what kind of person your fiancé really is behind her pleasant facade. You don't know her, and none of this was your choice. Your family and Archnean traditions have determined who you must spend the rest of your life with. But are you ready to submit to this union without protest? The wind outside the window stirs the trees in the park, and the stuffiness of the hall becomes unbearable. After excusing yourself to the guests, you say that you need some air and move to the open window. How much you want to bet Camille's gonna be out there? A couple of minutes pass, and your solitude is interrupted by an Archnean woman in a revealing emerald dress. Her sharp little claws lightly touch your shoulder, and her green, slightly slanted eyes travel over you appraisingly from head to toe. Octavia Milanatus flashes you a playful smile. The shimmering necklace that adorns her chest reminds you of scales. So this is what you're like, Jerian Tempest. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. Though I confess, I imagined our first meeting quite differently. You withdrew from the guest so suddenly. Tell me, what dark thoughts trouble your bright mind? Octavia, adjusts her hair and gives you a cunning smile, baring her pearly white teeth. You can't look away from the mischievous glint in her eyes, which seem to draw you in. With a hesitant smile, you tell her that you're simply lost in thought. Oh, I understand. There's a lot of food for thought here, my prince. They say boredom is the most vicious kind of torture, and that's exactly what you ought to expect from marital bliss. To To think that your own mother's treachery would doom you so. Please don't look so surprised. It wasn't supposed to be this way. The line of succession had a Melanatus set to be the next empress. You and I were promised to each other before we were even born. I was so excited to meet you, marry you, spend our wedding night together, but the Tempests decided to trample upon its ancient tradition. Your mother lies to you. She does not care in the least about the old order or obligations to the great houses. All of that is merely a pretext to play her game and marry you to the one who will be convenient and personally loyal to her. You arch an eyebrow in surprise. Octavia's eyes are full of mockery. She continues, idly tracing lines on your silk shirt with a fingernail. And do you know the reason? It's almost laughable, but the Tempest family bears a grudge because my father demanded the return of the gold he had generously lent to the Imperial Treasury. You and I are merely pawns in our family's games. So here a word of advice, my prince. Enjoy your freedom while it lasts. Once all is said and done and your wedding toasts are over, Lucrezia will put you on a leash even shorter than the one your mother currently keeps you on. Octavia closes the short distance between your bodies to loosen your cravat a bit. The intoxicating scent of her perfume suddenly hits you. Her sly gaze caresses you like a playful tongue. She curves her lips in a barely there smile and leaves. It's only then that you breathe a sigh of relief. Returning to the guests, you find Lucrezia with your eyes, surrounded by several other young Archnean ladies. Noticing your glance, she leaves her friends and approaches you with a smile. You really shouldn't make eyes at me like that, Prince Jerian. As it happens, this is my first time seeing you as well. You and I are in the same boat. You tell her in a reserved tone that you're pleased to make her acquaintance. The stale air of the room has left your mouth dry. It's quite stuffy in here, isn't it, Your Highness? At this rate, I fear this hall might turn into a sauna, and someone will have to fetch smelling salts for us. Why couldn't they have let us meet in the park, preferably alone? Your fiancé brushes a stray strand of hair away from her forehead and secures it with a pin. You offer her your arm to lead her onto the center of the room, as tradition dictates. Servilia addresses the guests with a welcoming speech, but you can barely focus on her words. Everything is swimming before your eyes. Your jacket feels too tight. Lucrezia grips your elbow and whispers to you, her words rushed and slow. Just squeeze my hand, Jerian. It'll be over before you know it. Honestly, I'm not too pleased with this reception either, but what can we do? Tradition and duty to the Empire are stronger than either of us. There's a round of applause at Servilia as Servilia finishes her speech. The tight grip you have on Lucrezia's delicate hand seems to help clear your mind a little. You take a deep breath. Meanwhile, Tarquinius Melanatus steps forward. He raises his glass and pauses expectantly, waiting for silence. Once he has everyone's attention, he turns to you and toasts you with a caustic smile. To the power of the Archnean houses. An age-old memory of him toasting you in the same manner in Martha's house bubbles to the surface. Melanatus doesn't lower his gaze. Your guests exchange silent glances. The Melanatuses are a great house. My daughter was raised to be the future empress. She's been saving herself to perform her duty with honor, but now her birthright has been ripped away from her. If even the Tempests go against tradition, what are we to expect from the rest? It's no surprise that humans are so eager to trample the existing order. A fish rots from the head down, after all. Your mother steps forward and raises her hand with a terse smile, interrupting Melanatus. Archduke, should we really ruin such a joyous evening by bringing up our disagreements? You know perfectly well that we couldn't have made a different decision after what your ancestor Char Melanatus did. it was simply impossible for the Emperor to marry off his son to your daughter, despite everyone's wishes. My ancestor did commit a crime when he rebelled against the Empire, but he paid for it. There's no reason to bring up an old offense after so many years. Our age-old traditions still stand, meaning that Octavia is the next rightful empress. She's the one who should become the princess. So why then, contrary to the law and customs, was this honor given to House Orgriff? What does Prince Jerian have to say about this? Or are we to be ruled by someone who doesn't even have a say in his own bed? All right, sir. You watch Servilia's smile slip from her face, but your mother purses her lips and keeps silent. The guest's glances dart anxiously from you to Milonadis and back again. You hesitate, unsure of how to answer. You need to protect your house's honor and your own reputation. You glance at your mother, but she averts her gaze. Dozens of gazers are trained on you as your guests wait for an answer that doesn't seem to come. Lucrezia steps forward. Squaring her shoulders, she addresses the Archduke directly. House Milonadis committed a crime against our blood when they tried to usurp the Tempest's power. They also committed a crime against the divine law when they turned on the gods. Neither the twins nor the great ancestors of House Tempest would allow anyone from that treacherous bloodline to enter the Tempest blood tide. This public scandal is only making you lose face, Archduke Milonadis. Why would you remind everyone of your family's disgrace? Be grateful that Gladius Tempest was merciful enough to let you live and keep the deserts of Magra as your own. Deserts of Magra? The crowd breaks out in outraged murmurs. Who does this insolent girl think she is? How dare she talk to the head of a great house like this? Lucrezia isn't even a princess yet. Milonadis' face darkens with outrage as his glass clatters to the floor. He takes a deep, incensed breath, preparing to unleash his fury onto Lucrezia. Your fiancée appears calm and steady as she awaits for the storm to hit. Only for a moment, your gazes meet. Her eyes tell you that she's ready to accept any consequence. She will not back down. Disaster seems inevitable. Lucrezia has leaped to your defense, and if you don't interfere, she'll have to face the rage of the slighted Archnean nobility. But perhaps this is your chance to break off your engagement to the one your mother imposed upon you through intrigue. Oh, Lord. Let's see. Invoke your blood that I don't really even have. You stand up for your fiancé. You remind the Milonadis family of the uprising against the Tempest. That'll give me 5 for the legacy of blood. My will go down by 1. My blood will go up by 1. And Lucrezia Orgriff will be my fiance. I can invoke the twins law. You stand up for your fiance. You remind the Milonadis family of their violation of the law of the gods. This pretty much gives me the same thing, except I don't get any love. My law goes up by 1. Lucrezia once again becomes my fiance. Or I can break off the engagement. You use this chance to break off the engagements to the one you did not choose. My diplomacy goes up by 1. I piss my mom off by 1. Lucrezia Orgriff becomes my former fiance. Oh, this is a doozy. Yeah, this is oh crap. I mean, I do appreciate that Lucrezia defended me. However, this does seem like a plot by my mom. And Lucrezia does seem like a lovely person. I would have loved to have turned around and met her before this and managed to, talk to her and stuff like that. But I didn't. Now, on the other hand, the Milonadises, it's giving Lannister without the incest. But it's giving Lannister. It's giving me her dad is gonna be a royal pain. But then again, it's also just like, I would probably rather have her by my side, have the Melanotis close to me, as opposed to, you know, out there in the wild doing God knows what. Not to mention, I'm also going to be going against the church, and that's going to be a thing too. Oh my God, this is a this is quite the decision. Oh God. And on top of that, I feel like, and I wish this was in the stats, if I do this, lock of sanity. Yeah, so I'm guessing that if I do this, this is also going to cause me some sanity. Great. Great. And I mean, is that a red lock? I guess it is a red lock. Oh, God. This means I would be falling apart if I turned around and did that. Sheesh. Oh. Crap. I am going to stand up for my fiance. I'm going to invoke the blood. I really want to break off the engagement though, but maybe I can wiggle my way around it. I don't know. Oh man. I think if I was cracked, I probably would go with this, but like if I was just fractured, I probably would have stayed with it because I would have just became cracked. But now I'm going to be falling apart, and this is going to give me just 2 for the rest of the game. I am in the 2nd chapter. Oh God. And it's non-replenishable. That's what's even worse about this, is that it's non-replenishable. Ah, man. Yeah, let me just not cause any problems, and I will go ahead and do this. Now the question is, which one do I want to do? Law or blood? I'll do blood. I mean, I get Legacy of the Tempest either way, so God. You take a step forward and raise your voice to get the crowd's attention. That's enough. The hubbub quiets down in an instant. You remind everyone that an Archnean marriage is first and foremost a sacred joining of blood ties. The Tempests were wronged by Char Melanotis, and your ancestors have refused to accept anyone from that crooked bloodline ever since. Oh, why did you have to say all that? Noticing Octavia's insulted look, you say that her being passed over in favor of another fiancé is not a punishment. It is merely a natural consequence of Char's crime. House Melanotis will never be kin to House Tempest again. Tarquinius Melanotis' baleful eyes burn holes through you as he tries to find the hilt of his sword. His face is almost black with rage when he exclaims, "Octavia, we're leaving." You could hear a pin drop as the Archduke and his daughter storm out of the room. You turn to meet Lucrezia's gaze, and the two of you share a silent look full of mutual understanding. Even though you barely know your fiancé, you feel like you've established a strong bond tonight. Wild behavior. Absolutely wild behavior. Hey, and again, like I see, these are things that I understand. For writing, it is perfect, and it is it is gripping and stuff, but Lord have mercy, could you have not given me like a heads up? Could we not have had a ball to kind of meet some of these people or something? Jesus. Dust motes slowly swirl in the rays of light, cutting through the dense gloom of the chapel. The silence feels soft, reverent. You look up at the enormous marble twins, your knees on the stone floor. But even here, you cannot feel their presence. Why? Years ago, when you first found yourself in one of the twins' temples, a wave of their blessed light swept you off your feet. You felt their divine touch with your whole being. Why did this never happen again after you became an Archnean and the heir to the Imperial throne? Does it mean that you've grown more distant from the gods instead of the other way around? Your lips move soundlessly as you beg the twins to bestow their love upon you. You strain all of your senses to catch the barest glimpse of their presence, but no matter how hard you try, nothing changes. The air in the room remains cool and still, indifferent to your struggles. Suddenly, you feel something move behind your back. You turn around to find your father standing there, his pursed lips clearly visible in the chapel's dramatic lighting. His footsteps are heavy as he walks down the stone steps, ducking his head a little to avoid hitting the entrance arch. I'm glad to see that you visit the chapel too, my boy. Is something the matter? You look troubled. You explain that you haven't felt the God's blessing in years, and you're now praying to them so they might grant you their love. You ask your father if he can feel them. He looks away, shaking his head slowly. Love isn't what you should be asking for, Jerian. The Tempests are the twins' primates, the conduits of their law and love. We serve the elder and the younger by spreading their gifts to all our loyal subjects. We are but tools in the hands of the gods. Such was the pact. People all over the Empire experience the boon of love every day, accepting this gift with awe and gratitude. There's no further need to ask the elder for a miracle. Your time would be best spent praying for the law, my son. The old order is crumbling as the world around us changes. We won't be able to rule over the realm unless we find a new law to hold the Empire together. I pray for the twins to show me the way every day. Why don't you join me? Your father's face contorts in a grimace of pain as he sinks to his knees. He closes his eyes, joining his hands in prayer, then suddenly drops them with a sigh. Your father's posture reminds you of a century-old tree bent by a hurricane. A shadow cuts a sharp line across his slouched back. He turns to you with a weak smile, taking your hand gently. You must think me utterly spineless. Just look at me prattling on about the law and order when I can't even... Servilia still sees me as a fiery sword. That's what she used to call me. A flaming blade that always strikes true. But I can feel how much I've changed. The silver tree reminded me of my true nature. When the scales of delusion fell from my eyes, I knew exactly what had to be done. But after my return to the palace, it's like I've distanced myself from the twins once more. I'm going to pray for the gods to grant me the clarity I felt while kneeling by the silver tree. I need to remember who I'm supposed to be. Uther Tempest II, anointed emperor and primate of the twins. Oh, Jerian, if only you knew how tired I am. I'm well aware of what people must think of me. My courtiers, my advisors, my subjects. They must think that I've lost my grip, that I'm no longer the man I once was. Well, I can't argue with that. My own power has robbed me of strength. It has sucked me dry. I suffer from debilitating headaches. My energy drains like water leaking from a cracked jug. I can feel something cold and sticky growing in my chest. I'm not afraid of death, my boy. I'm afraid of the person I might become on my deathbed. Your father grips your hand tightly, if only for a few short moments. but then he squares his shoulders and turns to face the statue. I'm sorry for burdening you with my pain, son. I know you've come here searching for your own answers. Your father's sudden confusion stuns you. You'd like to keep talking, but realize that there's little to be gained by prodding him. You will your thoughts to return to prayer and divine grace, but then you suddenly recall the things your father said about the law. The carved marble figures of the twins peer down at you expectantly. What will you ask the gods for in light of everything Uthar just told you? Will you pray for the law like your father suggested, or are you still hoping for their love? Ask Agatha for advice? You will ask Agatha to tell you everything she knows about love. I can ask for love, and I will get love, but my law will go down. I can pray for the law, and I will get some law, and my relationship with Uther goes up. I can stop praying. You will not seek support from gods and will find the answers you need yourself. And that will give me some scholarship. Or I can ask Agatha. My law goes down by 1, my love goes up by 1, my scholarship goes up by 1, and my relationship with Agatha also goes up. Now, I have a question that if I do this, this is gonna cost me sanity again, isn't it? I think I'm good with my father, so I'm not going to turn around and do this. I'm not gonna ask for love, I'm not gonna pray for the law. I'm just gonna stop praying and just go from there. I kind of want to do this, but again, I think that's the whole sanity thing, so let's not. You shake your head, refusing to accept such a fate. Prayer won't help here. You feel so distant from the twins, so alone and abandoned. With a curt thanks for his advice, you leave your father in the chapel. Why are the Tempests, the twins as tools, not worthy of love? Are you doomed to live out your whole life like this, robbed of divine grace? If the gods are silent and indifferent to your prayers, perhaps you can find your answers in the Holy Scriptures. Your fingers shake with excitement as you pull tomes of theological treatises down from the shelves. You scan the worn pages that preserve the legacy of long-forgotten truth seekers who lived centuries ago. The night flies by as you devour their speculations like a man possessed. You only stop when birdsong heralds the coming of a new day. Alrighty. The Holy Pact. Voices are clashing like swords in the sitting room after morning tea. You watch the argument unfold with rapt attention. Arcanians have never conformed solely to the official laws. We live our lives in accordance with inner laws, checking ourselves against the high moral standards our ancestors set for us. Honor is what binds the Arcanian people. I don't know about that. The concept of honor is different for everyone. We need a law that will be the same for everyone in the Empire, something absolute and unambiguous, a law that will represent the sum total of the people's will. More like the sum total of the people's sacrifices. You can't help but wonder yet again why the law seems to be the only thing people care about. Your father prays to the twins for it. Cornelius and Gaius discuss it as though it were the most important thing in the world. Why is it that your culture is so dependent on this gift of the gods? But no one ever mentions the second cornerstone of your faith, love. Could it be that mortals' relationship with the gods is based solely on the law and there is no real love between them? This question haunts you. It seems incomparably more important than what your uncles are currently locking horns over. You take a deep breath, preparing to butt into their squabble. But before you can say anything, a giant icy wave comes crashing over you. Your breath catches in your throat as the world splinters into hundreds of shards. The mosaic crumbles away, its pieces reshuffling like a kaleidoscope until the image becomes utterly unrecognizable. When reality finally reasserts itself, you are puzzled by the foreign sensation in your body. It doesn't feel like your own anymore. You raise your hands to examine their gnarled joints, painfully swollen veins, and black spots on your dark blue skin. Sparse gray strands cling to your shoulders like cobwebs. You feel unsteady on your feet, and your sagging back aches with age. You shuffle down a wide staircase, your steps heavy and slow. The damp air of the crypt feels cool on your skin. The masks of your ancestors stare impassively from their places on the walls. You've come here to meet the twins, the elder who taught you and brought you into the fold, and his brother, the younger. The thought that you're about to bask in the elder's love makes you giddy. Being close to your teacher always suffuses your heart with awe and inspiration. His love fills the void within you, making you feel one with the divine. It moves you to tears. Your goal is clear in your mind. You're here to make the holy pact. You can make out a familiar figure in the dense gloom of the crypt. It seems the twins haven't come together. You step forward to embrace your teacher, but suddenly realize his brother is waiting for you. The younger stands before you with a sword in his hand. His fair hair frames an indifferent face, his calm silver eyes seeming to peer straight into your soul. Greetings, Emperor Eric. We've been waiting for you. You give the god a deep bow before cautiously inquiring why your mentor, the elder, isn't present. I killed him. The younger's words feel like a punch in the gut. Pain, incomprehension, and searing grief wash over you like a tide. You lean against the wall, unable to maintain your composure. Your heart beats in your chest like a cornered beast. You keep your eyes trained on the floor as you ask the younger what will happen to your pact now, the pact that the twins were planning to make with you. Nothing has changed, Eric. We're not going back on our word. The pact will be made as promised. Your bloodline will become our tool in the mortal realm, and you will rule over it. You and yours will enact our law among the living. You and yours will become the conduits of our love. You bow your head in submission, having heard these words from the elder before. But the younger doesn't stop there. The law will always stand above love. We have spoken. You've never heard your mentor say this before. It goes against everything he is or was. But he's not here anymore. You kneel before the younger, still not daring to look up. The stone floor digs into your aching knees. The crushing weight of loss and despair settles on your frail shoulders. The world around you melts back into darkness. You detach from your ancestor as if stepping out of his body. Emperor Eric the Pious turns around to look at you. As you see, my blood, it was I who made the holy pact with the gods. The loss of my mentor was unbearable, but the future of my bloodline, the future of the entire empire, took precedence. The law allowed me to piece the realm together, united under the Tempest's rule. And if that unity cost us the twins' instrument, their grace, then so be it. You must acknowledge the pact as well, my descendant. Accept my decision and admit that it was the right thing to do. Don't turn your back on the twins and your heritage. Are you kidding me? So, okay. So I can either accept Eric the Pious. That will give me Legacy of the Tempest. It will give me +3 law, -3 love. I can mentor Eric the Pious. You deny your ancestors, you don't agree with the pact he made. I will lose all of my Legacy of the Tempest. I will get some more love, and I will lose 1 as far as the law, and my scholarship will go up as well. Or I can reject Eric the Pious. You refuse to accept your ancestor's choice and try to explain the magnitude of his betrayal. Interesting. And ironically enough, this is a sanity log. Huh. Wow. This makes me want to go back and replay, or at least rewatch, my Life of Suffering of Sir Bronte series when I did the religious path, because there are bombshells dropped in that also. I think I'm going to reject this. Hopefully this doesn't cost me my sanity, but I'm going to try and explain the magnitude of his betrayal. Please do not cost me my sanity. You frown and step back from Eric the Pious, accusing him of betrayal. It was treachery to make a deal with his mentor's killer. By taking the younger's side and letting the law rule over love, Eric upset the balance. This violation of the highest order forever crippled the world and doomed the Tempests to a life devoid of divine love. You look your ancestor straight in the eye and declare that the pact he made wasn't just a mistake, it was a betrayal. It was a crime. You denounce him. Eric recoils from you as if struck. Before he can respond, the past begins unfolding before your eyes once more. Eric the Pious unsheaths his dagger, holds up his palm and slashes it open in one swift motion. The sacral act unlocks the gate that keeps the Tempest's blood tide contained. The bowl in the center of the crypt fills with blue blood. For the first time ever, the Emperor speaks the words of the ancient chant. Blood for faith. The younger gently runs his hand across the blade of his sword, the action almost a caress. The blood that spills into the bowl glows silver. That shimmering light bathes the Tempest's blood tide in its glow, stretching far into the unknown past, generation after generation. The younger reaches out to touch Eric Tempest's forehead, searing his skin. When the god speaks, his otherworldly voice booms across the crypt. Faith for blood. The blood of the Tempest is mixed with the younger's in the bowl. As the blue liquid begins to glow, light pours from the eyes and mouths of death masks mounted on the walls. Your ancestors' screams pierce the still air of the crypt. Eric's eyes water from the blinding light. You squeeze your eyes shut. When you open them, you find yourself back in your own body at the palace. Your uncles are still busy arguing, oblivious to what's going on around them. Overwhelmed by anxiety, you rush out of the room and head for the family crypt. You scan the walls and their rows of mounted masks with bated breath, not really understanding what it is you seek. Among the masks of your ancestors mounted on the wall, you find the two modeled after the twins. The mask of the younger gazes at you, frozen in solemn majesty. A deep crack runs across the mask of the elder. Dang. Oh boy. The things we do for power. All right, so we're back at this screen. Hopefully this time I will not click the wrong thing. Okay, so I can do finest instructors. With the aid of eminent instructors, you further your studies, enhancing both your intellect and your confidence in your own decisions. I can do family tree. You restore the genealogy of the Tempest family in order to hear the words of your ancestors more clearly. Or I can work on, you develop personal connections with vassals in order to strengthen your family's influence. That will give me +2, bring that up to 19. We're still in prosperity though, so that's fine. If I do the family tree, I will get +10 legacy of the Tempests. I'll get -1 will and +1 to my blood. And if I do the finest instructors, aside from passion, I will get +1 in everything. So my management, come on you. Okay, so my management would still be at an adept. My diplomacy would still be at an apprentice, but then the next one would be at adept. And then scholarship would be at a 7, leaving me at an adept. I think I'll do the family tree one because the legacy of the Tempests does come in handy sometimes. So yeah, family tree. The wisdom of the Tempests of the past and their authority in the present, your legacy, is the power that allows you to overcome almost any challenge. You resolve to spend this year honoring that legacy. Although you can clearly hear your ancestors' voices, many of them are faint and indistinct. In order to better recognize and heed your forebears, you resolve to compile the most comprehensive family tree of your bloodline, not to replace the others, but to make it your own. No ancestor will remain unknown to you. Naturally, your library holds numerous genealogies compiled by chancellors, archivists, and court chroniclers. Yet you sense that these names will remain silent until you give voice to them yourself. You must imprint them into your flesh like a monk transcribing sacred writings, not for gain, but for greater purpose. Upon completing the family tree, you feel your blood rush gratefully to your heart, strengthening your connection to the legacy of the Tempests. All right. The Lesser Branch. Okay, this event is triggered by your previous actions. My opinion with Servilia has to be greater than or equal to 3. It's at a 4, and I don't have the Shattered Hopes. Okay. Let me introduce you to our host, my boys. This is Sebastian L. Formoso. A tall human with streaks of gray at his temples bows respectfully in response to your greeting. Ferdinand shakes his hand. Judging by his face, he's not quite sure why the Empress arranged this meeting either. Servilia gives all of you a gracious smile, clearly unaffected by the awkward atmosphere. I'm extraordinarily honored to receive the Crown Prince and Her Imperial Majesty in my home. But dare I presume that you're not here for my humble company? You must be interested in the fate of your glorious ancestor. Well, of course we are, Sebastian. Ferdinand is currently compiling a treatise on the history of all the Tempests per my request, including all the illegitimate human branches of the family. As it turns out, we know unforgivably little about Lucilius the Fair, one of our ancestors. Your host takes you through a library decorated in the Arcnean style on your way to the dining room. You look around, taking in the interior. There's a banner with a Tempest dragon on the wall next to a grand portrait of your father, something commonly found in high officials' offices. I know how diligent you are about preserving our family history, and especially Lucilius's story. Would you mind helping us fill in a few gaps, Sebastian? Both Ferdinand and Jerian would benefit greatly from listening to you. The man offers you another bow and begins his story, a pleased smile on his lips. In the glorious days of the Arcnean Republic, Council Lucilius Tempest waged war on the human tribes. Claiming victory after victory, he soon conquered them all. But he wasn't an unreasonable man. In an effort to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, he challenged the king of the humans to a duel when the time came for the final battle. It goes without saying that Lucilius emerged victorious. The duel was so fierce that Lucilius's sword broke, but even that didn't deter him from piercing the human king's heart and ending the fight. That broken blade has survived to this day, carefully preserved in my family home. I'm astonished that our historical society hasn't borrowed such a great relic for one of its own exhibitions. But how did the sword end up in your possession? Oh, it's not just the sword. We also have the bone lie Lucilius the Fair played, as well as the silver quill he used to write his poetry. You see, Lucilius Tempest took the bested human king's daughter as his concubine, and my bloodline can be traced back to their bastard son. My ancestors have always been proud to have Tempest blood flowing through their veins. As a human, I cannot enter your blood tide, but I still feel the connection to our great forefather keenly, and I know that we have his support. Serving the Order is a lofty fate, and we're all grateful for it. Before you can ask what order he's talking about, your mother puts a hand on your shoulder. The Order of the Lesser Branch comprises noble human bloodlines that can be traced back to our ancestors. House El Formoso has dedicated itself to preserving the legacy of Lucilius the Fair and his blood. There are dozens of similar bloodlines spread across the empire. Humans cannot hope to compare to Arcneans, but generations of humans who have at least a drop of noble blood in them can fulfill this sacred duty together. The descendants of illegitimate children perform ceremonial service. Their families keep our relics, our legacy, and the memory of our shared ancestors. Though I must admit, not every bloodline can boast an origin story as beautiful and great as yours, Sebastian. Most often, minor branches spring from children born of a union between an Arcnean lady and her human consort. You might find it hard to understand our culture, but before an Arcnean lady bears her husband's pure-blooded child and gives one of her lives to the infant, our tradition demands that she test her body and experience motherhood with children born of humans. That is how Ferdinand came to be part of our family. He may never be able to undergo initiation, but in his blood, just as in the blood of all the bastards of the ruling dynasty, the voice of the Tempests resound, the voice of the imperial line, the voice of the tide that flooded my veins when I married His Majesty. Boy, this is some diabolical stuff. And once again, I am now regretting that I turned around and married old girl, because my mother is quite conniving, good lord. Ferdinand is busy leafing through a book he's pulled off a shelf. You're not sure you heard what Servilia just said. Ferdinand, there is enormous potential hidden within you and the other bastards. The whisper of our ancestors live in you. But even such a faint bond with the Tempests exalts you above other people. You understand our nature, you know our culture and history, and I believe that it is you who must become the support of the Crown Prince's authority. Jerian, summon the bastards to the palace and become the master of the Order of the Lesser Branch. Turn their brothers into a personal guard loyal only to you and to the blood of the Tempests. You need a few moments to process Servilia's unexpected proposal. Sebastian is listening to your conversation with bated breath, very much aware that his and his descendants' fates are at stake. Ferdinand snaps his book shut. Mother, if you'd be so kind as to let me speak. I think that Jerian will incur the high nobility's displeasure if he shows favor to the lesser branch instead of the Arcnians. They're too prideful to take such a blatant lack of favor lying down. If you want the illegitimate Tempests to serve the Empire well, a better choice would be to take them on as public servants. They do much more good working in the archives and prefectures than standing guard at the prince's bedchamber. Besides, would it really be wise to arm people who have done nothing but dust off museum exhibits for centuries? You have no right to doubt my decisions, so say nothing of challenging them, Ferdinand. As my descendant, as a human, and as a subject of the Empire, you are bound to obey the Tempests. Joining the Royal Guard would be a good opportunity for an illegitimate child such as yourself to truly serve our family. Lord have mercy, this is a Game of Thrones thing, because this kind of reminds me of when was it, I think it was Aegon the Unworthy, when he turned around and legitimized all his bastards, and then that created a huge ass problem. This seems like the same damn thing. And on the one hand, it's like, yeah, okay, they'll be on the Royal Guard, but then I'm gonna have a bunch of pissed off bastards who think like, oh, you know, maybe I can turn around and be, you know, the Emperor because I have Tempest blood in my veins or whatnot. Like, you're legitimizing all of them. This is gonna be a problem. Ferdinand turns crimson, whether from embarrassment or indignation, you cannot say. And then, of course, like the way Servilia responded to that, like, you can't treat these people like that, like they're just going to be bound to obey. They're not going to, or at least they're not just going to be obeying just, you know, willy-nilly or whatnot. You got to gain their trust and stuff. So this is just a recipe for disaster. The expression on Sebastian's face betrays his anxiety, indicating that he'd prefer to be somewhere else when the storm brewing between the Empress and her child finally hits. Please pardon my insolence, Mother. Am I to understand that all members of House Tempest are supposed to immediately offer their full support to anything you deign to propose? Servilia's face grows stony, her lips pursed into a thin line. You need to intervene and prevent the looming catastrophe while it's still possible. Yeah, I'm not supporting Servilia. That is insane. I'm not going to refuse her because then that will cause problems. Oh well, shit, I'm gonna get the Shattered Hope either way. Great. You will support Ferdinand and direct the talents of the Order's members towards civil service. And then, because again, I don't think that that's going to work. This is the one time where and then it's gonna cost me my sanity too. Oh God. Lord have mercy. And even the legacy of the Tempest is just like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do this. The fuck? This is going to cost me sanity and legacy. God. You will support Ferdinand and direct the talents of the Order's members towards civil service. I think this will be better. Please don't be too harsh. You order Ferdinand to stop, telling Servilia that her plan will only end in strife. The great houses will feel slighted if you replace young Arcnians with humans in the Guard. The Empire, and your family in particular, need their support and their influence. You fail to see the big picture, Jerian. Day-to-day minutiae have blinded you to the real power you could possess. You're destined for greatness on par with the heroic Tempests of yore. A personal honor guard is important for securing your authority. Ma'am, a personal honor guard of bastards probably isn't the best idea. And of humans, too. Do you know how many times I got my ass whooped in Sir Bronte? You remind your mother that she should neither doubt nor challenge your decisions. As the future emperor, this is your call and you've made it. Wasting the Empire's best human talent on empty ceremony is foolhardily. You're going to disband the Order of the Lesser Branch and give its members jobs in the government. Introducing the illegitimate Tempests into the Empire's bureaucratic system will improve its repute, which will be beneficial both to human nobles and the Archnians who already hold office. From now on, the illegitimate Tempests will serve the Empire as government officials. Their blood deserves nothing less. The hell, this woman is crazy. But then again, what should I expect from, mask switching? Oh, I'm not cheating when I got the mask on bullshit. And we got Shattered Hope. She'll live. What the heart wants. My pitiful father. A cozy rustling sound echoes through the study as you turn yet another page. You're almost halfway done with the thick tome entitled The History of Law in the Blessed Archnian Empire when a knock tears you away from researching the controversial consequences of the Fifth Edict on land ownership. You look up to find your father standing in the doorway. It's a welcome distraction. Jerian, my boy, what are you doing? Studying? I found myself with some free time on my hands. Why don't we spend it together? We so rarely get the chance. You notice that your father is in an unusually good spirit today. A smile playing across his face, a lively gleam in his eyes. Such upswings in his mood are so rare that they alarm you even more than his perpetual melancholy. Uther picks up your book from the table, looks at the cover and closes it with a slam. Good for you, son. Have I ever told you how proud I am of all you've accomplished? Our empire deserves to have a learned emperor. Just make sure to take breaks. All work and no play makes Jerian a dull boy. Trust me, I know how much of a toll these endless problems can take. Your father sits on the edge of the table and continues to speak dreamily, swinging his leg in an easy pose that tramples on etiquette. The only true moments of respite we ever have are those we spend with the woman we love. Have you thought about that yet? You ask your father to explain. You have your pick of beautiful young ladies, but you need to choose wisely. I personally appreciate the feeling of security one feels with a faithful companion by one's side, the kind that would never leave you. The kind of woman you can share your plans with and ask for advice. That's invaluable for a leader. A woman like that can become your rock. Though not your wife. But I do understand that young men your age are drawn to another sort of girl entirely. You gravitate towards passionate ladies who drive you crazy, who make you work for their attention, whether feats of valor or daring crimes. Feline grace, a serpentine smile, and the soul of a treacherous demon all rolled into one. Loving a woman like that can deprive you of all reason. You look at your father in surprise. You ask whether all girls truly belong to one of these two types, loyal companions or dangerous heartbreakers absorbed in their games. Oh, you also have your enigmas, ladies whose eyes are an alluring abyss, and you always have to read between the lines to to grasp the full meaning of their words. I'm getting tongue-tied. They're unattainable like the stars in the night sky, but even knowing that, you can't look away. Or maybe a better comparison would be an ancient manuscript written in a strange language that you're itching to decipher. A woman like that could help you rediscover the world or yourself if you choose to stay with her. That said, some mysteries are better left unsolved. You ask your father why he fell in love with Servilia. What was she like when they first met? Uther gives you a smile tinged with sadness. You have to understand that rulers marry out of obligation, but I knew real love once. Things got very complicated when it comes, well, things get very complicated when it comes to something as monumental as the Emperor's marriage. Still, you should stay true to yourself. Don't let anyone lead you astray. A footman peeks into your study after a timid knock, informing you that Archduke Monroe has arrived for his audience with the Emperor. Your father heaves an annoyed sigh and rises. Unfortunately, there are some things I can't relegate to you yet, but you should heed my advice and take a little break. Maybe you already have a girl you'd like to spend some time with. Well, we can finish this conversation later. It's almost like the birds and the bees, but what? Your fiancée comes to mind. It might be worth getting to know her better. No shit. You should make the first move before it's too late, lest you have to marry a woman you have no feelings for. Your father leaves, but you can't stop thinking about his advice. You lean back in your chair, recalling the faces of the ladies you know, their velvet skin, the fire in their eyes. The unfinished book seems to watch you from the desk in silent reproach, but the night is still young, and maybe your father is right. Yeah, let me go and spend time with my uncle's fiance. Good God. Or I can visit Agatha. Sir, if you don't go to your wife, or I could just spend time reading. You will go to Lucrezia to grow closer to your fiance and future empress. Yeah, let's do that. That makes a lot of sense. Why is this not love? I mean, granted, it's probably, of course, it's not really love in this situation, but like, I mean, she doesn't seem terrible. Like, she seems like she could be a normal person at some point. But let's go ahead and visit her. Yeah, this right here, foolishment. You thumb at a page and try to focus, but your thoughts keep going back to Lucrezia. You never had a chance to get to know your fiancée. What kind of person is she? How could you win her over? You can't just force yourself into her life. Your servant informs you that Lucrezia's household is throwing a soiree for a society Eternian poets the Ogress are patrons of. They're not expecting you, and Lucrezia will likely have her hands full, but you want to see her anyway. Maybe you can steal her from her guests for a short while. You order your footman to help you get ready and put on a formal blue and gold jacket, hoping that Lucrezia will appreciate this nod to her family colors. The carriage is already waiting for you downstairs. The soiree is in full swing when you arrive at the gate of the Ogress mansion. You can see the dancing partners' slender silhouettes float by in the brightly lit windows. Your eyes seek out Lucrezia as soon as you step inside. She's a vision of loveliness in her elegant evening gown, with her perfect posture and serene expression. A gaggle of admirers has gathered around your fiancé, but she responds to their witty posturing with a polite, benevolent smile. You stay rooted to the spot, watching the resplendent hostess from afar. She looks so graceful and dignified as she moves from one guest to another. You're suddenly gripped by doubt. Maybe it was a faux pas to arrive without an invitation. It will be extremely awkward for both of you if she can't spare the time to talk to you. You don't have like a imperial guard with you or something like that, you know, a person to announce to you, like what's his name? Edelgard from Rogue Trader? Abelard, that's his name. While you stand there, racked by uncertainty, Lucrezia turns towards you. Her eyebrows rise, and the mask of politeness slips for a moment, revealing the hostess's confusion. I'm overjoyed to receive you in my house, my prince. How may I be of service? Is there someone you'd like me to introduce you to? You shake your head and admit that you're here to see Lucrezia herself, shuffling your feet in embarrassment. Of course, you realize how busy she is with her guests, but perhaps she might be able to spare some time for you as well. Lucrezia tilts her head, her expression shifting. Suddenly, she turns to face the rest of the room and gives several resounding claps. The band stops playing, bringing the waltz to a halt. Everyone looks over at the two of you. Thank you for coming tonight, my esteemed guests. Your company has been an immeasurable delight, but now our evening has come to an end. I hope you all get home safely and quickly. There's a moment of bewildered silence before Lucrezia's guests begin thanking her and offering subdued farewells. The abrupt end of the soiree will most definitely get people talking, but right now, everyone does their best to save face and leave the Oakcroft Manor with dignity. You couldn't stop this, sir. Lucrezia gently takes you by the hand with her warm, delicate fingers. You walk out onto the balcony together as the last guests are leaving in orderly fashion. Your fiancé looks you straight in the eye. You don't need a reason to visit me, my prince. My time and attention belong to you. I am your lawful bride, and you are my lawful groom. I'm yours, Jerian. You feel softly, yet inescapably drawn to her. You raise your hand to brush your fingers against her soft cheek. There are butterflies in your stomach. You return to the ballroom together. It looks so empty and cavernous now that you're alone. Flickering candlelight dances across the walls. You voice your regret that the band has left. You won't be able to dance now. I'll always find a way to make your wishes come true. Please, come closer, my prince. Lucrezia puts your hands on her waist before carefully swaying to the side. You move with her, letting her lead as your grip on the silk of her gown becomes more confident. You can't help but notice the way her eyelashes flutter in response. The silence is no longer a deterrent. You take over after a few moments, gently but confidently leading Lucrezia in your dance. When you pick up the pace, she obeys. A strand of her soft hair slips loose from her hairstyle and trembles at her temple. The room is getting hotter. You can feel your blood boiling, excitement bubbling over like shaken, sparkling wine. Your and Lucrezia's breath come in puffs, the hot air that escapes her lips scalding your neck. The dance comes to a climax. Lucrezia presses up against you as it winds down, melting in your embrace. You breathe in the crisp night air as you leave Lucrezia's house, your whole body pleasantly tired. Your heart is aflutter, and you can't stop thinking about the sweet moments you've shared with your fiancé. You decide to walk back to the palace, but it feels like you're floating all the way there. Oh. And that puts her, so I need it to be at 4 if I want to have her at attachment. The Empty Throne. Herald of the Worthy, a weekly publication, issue number 11 of the year 1134, Eterna. Your credible source of fresh news on the capital's court, culture, and various other events. Where's the Emperor? The congregation whispered before the tide of divine grace assuaged their fears on Unification Day. The son fulfilled the father's duty then, but the question still stands. Where's the Emperor? This question keeps falling from the lips of his subjects. The guests of high society salons keep asking each other behind closed doors, genuinely concerned with His Majesty's extended absence. This year's tribute to the blessed victory over the Skryads took place without the participation or patronage of Uthar II, an unprecedented occurrence. His Majesty no longer comes out onto the balcony or holds receptions at the palace. When asked about this, the courtiers give only the vaguest answers, and trusted servants avert their eyes. It's been a long time since the Emperor's carriage appeared on the royal route. So where is he? Just where did our supreme sovereign and all-father go? On the eve of the last tournament, we're all brimming with hope to finally see Uthar. He was meant to judge the duels and present awards to the winners. But did he? Mere moments before the event, we were informed that the Emperor would not be in attendance, but would instead relegate his duties to his young heir, Jerian Tempest. We understand the Emperor's desire to introduce his son to imperial affairs, but are the young man's feet big enough to fill his father's shoes? And why has Uther Tempest been hiding from us for so long? The terrible possibilities keep us up at night. As we all know, those whose fate are tied to the Empire have but one life to live. We shudder at the thought of what would happen if the Emperor were to suddenly stumble on the stairs, or if some miscreant were to sneak up on him with a heavy snuff box. Twins forbid. But there's another possibility to consider. What if control of the Empire was seized in a coup long ago? What if conspirators are hiding Uther and the rest of the Tempests in a dungeon and only allow us to see the heir in order to allay our suspicions? Maybe the boy isn't the crown prince at all, but rather a double, a puppet designed to lull everyone into a false sense of security. Could it be that the misfortunes that have recently befallen the common people are somehow connected to the Emperor's mysterious disappearance? Could it be that we're living under the rule of House Orgriff, or even worse, House Milanatus? There must be some truth to the rumors that they have a taste for human blood. Whatever the case, it seems we're destined to live in troubled times. It's a lot of lifting there. But we refuse to be kept in ignorance any longer. The people of the Empire call upon Uther Tempest II, anointed to reign by the twins. Where is the Emperor? If he lives, let him come forward and face his people. Wonderful. I knew he was kind of like away. I didn't realize he was just spending all his time away. You walk hurriedly down the hallway towards your father's chambers. You've just come from the Silver Dragon tournament, where you acted as a judge and presented awards on your father's behalf. Uther did not attend the competition. Dismayed, you recall the murmurs of discontent from the stands and the angry yells of the crowd. It's been a while since the people last saw their emperor. Some say he has abdicated the throne and left Eterna in secret. You sigh heavily as you reach the doors of the imperial chambers and slowly step into the shifting semi-darkness of the room. The heavy curtains over the windows are drawn shut. Candelabras cast their dim light across the room. The Tempest's portraits, cut through by bands of shadow, glimmer on the weakly lit wall. You can make out Cornelius's back, Servilia's impeccable posture, and Gaius's broad shoulders. Ferdinand stands a little to the side, his arms crossed. You walk closer and finally see your father. He sits still, his head hanging, seemingly too heavy for his frail shoulders. His withered hands grip the massive stone armrest, his body listing to the side in an unnatural way. He seems trapped in the dark, hard confines of the royal seat. You've come. Good. It seems you all need an enfeebled old man to bring you together. Even Ferdinand is here. How bizarre. Ferdinand lowers his gaze and takes several slow steps towards the door, but Gaius stops him. Uther offers no further comment. His mouth is still a harsh line. Servilia and Cornelius exchange a silent glance. We're here to wake you from your slumber. The rumors are becoming absurd. Eterna is in an uproar. The great houses have come to see you in person, but you still refuse to grace them with your presence. It's high time you pulled yourself together, brother. Power is not a cloak you can lend to others as you see fit. It's our duty, and we have no choice but to fulfill it. With great difficulty, Uther lifts his wrinkled palm from the armrest and waves it away. His hand drops back onto the stone surface, becoming one with it again. There's not a hint of interest in his eyes. Can't you see, my husband? The whole family has gathered to ask you to return to your duties. You've always advocated for our family unity, and here we are, standing before you as one. Would you have us beg? Uther raises his head slowly, as if afraid his muscles might fail him. He spends a long time looking from one family member to another, but his weary eyes finally stop, fixed on something far off in the distance. Your demands are not unreasonable. I agree that the rumors tarnishing our name need to be dispelled, but my subjects don't deserve to see their ruler like this. I've grown too weak. Ruling over the Empire has drained me. The Empire has changed. I know nothing about it. I've come to realize that I don't have anything to offer the realm, which is why it would be sensible of me to retire. I could go to the Summer Palace, have a nice rest. Nothing would disturb me there. Cornelius opens his mouth to object, but thinks better of it. His arms fall to his sides in defeat. You too realize that you won't be able to change your father's mind. The Emperor slips a ring with a big silver dragon on it off his finger, trying to move as little as possible in order to conserve his energy. My signet ring. I'm giving it to Jerian. I trust him more than I trust myself. You will accept him as the head of our house, and eventually the Emperor. Servilia reaches out to touch Uther's cheek, but he stops her. His eyes seek yours once more. It pains you to see your father brought so low. You look at the other members of your family, stunned. It feels like you haven't taken a single breath since you've entered the room. Would it really be prudent to burden our son with so much responsibility at this point? As his mother and the Empress, I can help him. I'm willing to shoulder the weight of regency until he comes of age and temporarily act as the head of House Tempest. Cornelius presses 2 fingers to your mother's shoulder. The candlelight is reflected in his dark eyes. Please don't make any hasty decisions, Servilia. We all appreciate your desire to help your son, but there can't be a regent while the Emperor is still alive. The people won't understand or accept it. There will be unrest. But I have to agree with you on one thing, unfortunately. Jerian is too young and inexperienced. He has often failed to live up to our expectation, and he has made foolish mistakes. I'm sorry, nephew, but it's the truth. You are not yet ready to lead the Tempest family or replace Uther. Nevertheless, we need to prepare you for your ascension. I'm planning to have you attend Imperial Council meetings to teach you how to defend our interests. The Empire's interests. You know, isn't that kind of y'all fault? I mean, you're the councilman and stuff. Like, why don't you let me join councils? You mean your interests, Cornelius? Let's be honest. Does anyone except me care what happens to House Tempest at all? You're all so focused on your personal agendas. You haven't even noticed that you're destroying our family. The family is not our priority right now. We need to show the people of the Empire that the Tempest's authority hasn't diminished. They need to see that the heir is actively participating in politics and not just loafing around. I'll appoint him to the position of Great Censor. That should give him ample opportunity to prove his worth, with my careful tutelage, of course. You're overestimating my son's strength and wisdom, Cornelius. He's much too young. He'd do well to spend a few years learning from those wiser and more experienced than himself before joining the council. A pause hangs in the air. Confusion can be glimpsed in your father's gaze. Thoughtfully, he turns the signet ring between his fingers. Thoughts swirl in your mind as all things you want to say to your family vie for your attention. You stand there not sure what the best course of action will be. What do you say? What do you do? Okay. So I can't refuse to be... I can't do anything, honestly. Except say nothing. Great. So I can't refuse to be the head of House Tempest. I can say nothing, which is what I'm going to have to do. You will not try to persuade your family and will not take responsibility for House Tempest. I can't accept my father's signet, and I can't take the oath of unity. All because of Gaius fucking Tempest. Good God. Great. Wonderful. I can't just take the ring. Yeah. Yeah. That stuff. But I will say again, I do feel like there weren't a lot of opportunities with Gaius. It seems like I had 50 bajillion opportunities with Cornelius, but I didn't have that many opportunities with Gaius, and Ferdinand kind of comes over anyway, so it's just like, well, you don't have to really worry about him. But like when it came to Gaius, you either had to like break your father's opinion or go with Gaius, or break Servilia's opinion or go with Gaius. And I think you get all of once or maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's about it. So that's kind of a tough dice roll there, but c'est la vie. You stand aside, finding neither words nor strength to intervene. Something in your father's eyes changes. His gaze grows heavy and forlorn. Uther gets up from his seat slowly and speaks without looking at any of you. This audience has gone on too long, and I didn't even initiate it. You should leave. I need to be alone. As for the ring, it will stay with me for the time being. I've just had a vision. The time has not yet come. Uther puts the ring back on his finger and, turning away from everyone, retreats deeper into the room. He will say nothing more. Servilia fixes Cornelius with a furious stare and hisses, barely containing himself. We entrusted the boy's upbringing to you, Cornelius. You were responsible for shaping our future heir and the bearer of our family name, and you failed. You're to blame for the fact that our family is breaking apart like an old clay jug. Cornelius's eyes grow wide, his face darkening with rage. You've never seen your uncle this furious before. He spits out that Servilia has no right to blame him. She is the one who should have paid more attention to her son. Gaius intervenes, trying to calm the two down, but ends up drawn into the fight as well. You watch your family tear into each other and powerless to make them stop. A chasm has opened between them, and you've done nothing to prevent it. You might have even caused it. When your father turns to look at you for just a moment, his eyes are full of resentment. You quietly leave the throne room, not daring to blink. Your lips are quivering. The heavy, gilded double doors shut behind you with a sense of finality. Yeah, that's a rough one. That's a rough one. Yeah, I mean, that just sucks, because it's just like, I don't know, like I kind of feel weird in this chapter, and I probably should have played this beforehand. Now I kind of wish I would have played the demo, so I would have had some kind of idea of like what pathways to go on to and stuff, because the Life and Suffering series seems like it's more about balance than necessarily trying to do one thing or another. You can't do that, but it does kind of lead you into certain pitfalls and stuff. And this kind of seemed like more I needed to lean into the blood and so on and so forth, but then by doing that I was going to end up shattering other people in the family. So it kind of makes it weird, and it also is a lot of weirdness when it came to kind of the cohesiveness of scenes, I guess, to a certain degree, because it's just like, why am I not spending more time doing, you know, court stuff or whatever? Like, why wouldn't I be doing that stuff now that I've, you know, got my blood and stuff like that? But c'est la vie. And I think more than anything, it just kind of sucks that, like, I've sacrificed my sanity. I even sacrificed my blood to a certain degree, and that all amounted to absolutely nothing. So I guess at this point, I'm just gonna go YOLO. This isn't gonna be a good ending in any form or fashion, but I'll just do whatever I want in this case. Or at least whatever I can. The silence is becoming unbearable. Breakfast is getting cold, but no one touches their cutlery or glasses. The servants stand like statues against the walls. The tension in the room thickens, as do the clouds outside the window, casting a gray pall over everything in the dining room. You get the urge to drum your fingers on the table just to break the silence. It takes effort, but you manage to restrain yourself. Cornelius's eyes are fixed on the ceiling. Your uncle does this whenever he's trying to solve some kind of complex problem. Your father is busy smoothing out a crease in a tablecloth with a thoughtful look on his face. Servilia stares at Gaius coldly, but you can hear her agitated breathing. Gaius Tempest, the bearer of bad news, stands with his hands folded on the back of his chair. How many people are in the square? What are their demands? Do we know who is leading these demonstrations? You know the answer perfectly well yourself. You just don't want to admit it. The vile estate and the rabble-rousing followers of the new faith. Who else could it be? I would gladly agree, but unfortunately, there are both new and old faith clerics in the crowd. And not only that, there are commoners, nobles, and college graduates as well. There are also cadets from the military academy, many of them with swords. They're worried because of the rumors. The people demand proof. They want to see the emperor. The emperor's subjects cannot demand to see him. His majesty is not some puppet in a marketplace. Yeah, tell that to them when they drag your ass out the castle. You've never seen your family so agitated before. Your father's hands lie limp on the table. His fingers tremble slightly, whether from agitation or from weakness and infirmity. I'm not going. I'm exhausted, and I have nothing to say to them. Sir, you could stand on the balcony and wave. That's all you had to do. The silence consumes Uther's voice like a quagmire. You try to stay as still and quiet as possible so that the swamp won't suck you in too. The sky outside the window has become uniformly leaden. Gaius's gloves emit an unpleasant squeak as he crumples them in his fists. I take it that's not the end of it, Gaius. Gaius slaps his gloves against the back of his chair. It's not. There aren't just humans in the square. There are Archnians there too, including members of the great houses. We could invite the envoys of the great houses to the palace, grant them a private audience, calm them down. The Archnian elite is there in person, many of them with their full retinue. They don't want to talk behind closed doors. They want the emperor to address the public. Even you and I will have a hard time persuading them to change their minds. Servilia puts a hand on Uther's arm, the gesture careful and apprehensive. Uther, couldn't you make an appearance? Just show them your face, just for a moment. You can tell them how much you love them. Say that you understand their concerns. They'll rejoice and you won't have to say anything more. Just stand there and wave. That's exactly what I said. They want reassurance that the Empire is as strong as ever. They want to see it in me, but I'm no longer sure if that's the case. I can't tell them anything. I can't feel my empire. I feel powerless. No, I'm not going anywhere. Brother, listen. What if you simply walk out onto the balcony? Jerian can give the address in your stead. He's your heir. His words should be enough of a reassurance. And you can just stand there. That won't tire you out. I can take you there. Uther sits silent for a long time, his head bowed low. After a while, he gives a sharp nod, a mere jerk of his head, as though he can't hold it up properly under the weight of everyone's stares. The bubble of tension in the room finally bursts, exploding in a barrage of urgent words. The members of your family members start talking to you all at once. Jerian, the first order of business is to calm the common folk down. You need to assuage their fears just as any proper ruler would. Assure them that the world we've been building is fast approaching. Tell them that every new law is a step towards equality in the empire, and that progress, sanctioned by the authorities, is about to change our realm beyond recognition. Be very careful what you say. There are Archnians in that square, which means that you need to show them you're going to be a worthy ruler. You should tell them that the imperial family values tradition, that we won't stand for upsetting the age-old world order, and that our society will remain unchanged. That should reassure the Archnians and sober up the humans who have started to forget their place. We can't put this off any longer. Let's go. They usher you out into the balcony before you can decide on the details of your speech. You breathe in the thick, stormy air. Your father puts his hand on your shoulder, leaning on you rather than providing support. The rumble of the crowd washes over you in rolling waves. With your appearance, it grows louder and more anxious. You gaze down at the square to see a disorienting melange of luxurious and threadbare clothing, shining buckles and sword grips, frothy white ruffles and crisp collars. You look up at the low-hanging sky. Your breath catches. What is about to be said now will spread across the entire empire before you finish your speech. Every subject is waiting for these words. A sudden gust of wind blows under your jacket, chilling you to the bone. Uther's eyes roam over the people gathered in the square. He looks lost. The sight of the crowd makes you go numb with trepidation. There's no one on the balcony with you apart from your father. Your family has chosen to remain inside. No one's going to help you. You are your own. Uther raises his hand and gives them a weak wave in greeting. The crowd responds with an enthusiastic roar. You square your shoulders. It's time to begin. Yeah, I can calm the subjects. And this gives me beloved by all. And I just barely did it. Well, there you go. And then if I went down either one of the particular paths, then I could either be like on the Archnian side or the human side. And then if I shout over the crowd, that'll just bump the rebellion up a bit. So let's calm the subjects. You raise your hand confidently, and the crowd falls silent. The entire square is waiting with bated breath for whatever their future emperor is going to say. The people are looking at you, their eyes full of hope. Your speech is fairly straightforward. You tell the people that the empire is thriving and promise to make both the commoners' hopes and the nobles' dreams come true. Your realm is on the threshold of its golden age. His Imperial Majesty works tirelessly every day to usher it in. Emperor Uther is safe and sound, and you're happy to help him with matters of state. Looking over the sea of people, you see that their eyes turn to you, shining with hope and joy. There's a moment of silence after your speech ends. Then suddenly, a young Archnian in the middle of the square draws his sword, salutes you, and cries out, "All hail, Prince Jerian." Thunder rumbles in the distance. The crowd erupts into cheers. Everyone is crying your name, be they young or old, priests, commoners, or nobles, military officers or shopkeepers, bakers or milliners. Hats and bonnets go flying as everyone rejoices. Warm rain falls from the sky, but no one pays it any attention. The water is powerless in the face of your people's fiery love. You suddenly realize that you could say anything right now. You've earned your subjects' trust and devotion, and even if you haven't formally ascended to the throne yet, in their eyes, you are the emperor. You reassure them once more that everything is as it should be. There's no reason to worry or stand in the rain. Everyone can return home. You gently take your father by the elbow, and you leave the balcony together. Afterward, your family spends a long time talking in the dining room, relieved that the crisis has been averted. The crowd outside keeps chanting your name. Alrighty, I won the hearts of the people. All people. And the chance for rebellion has calmed down. "2 years. It's been 2 years since you first set foot in these hallways. That day you felt the scrutiny of your ancestors' ancient portraits and heard the voice of the blood tide within you for the first time. You became Jerian Tempest, the crown prince of the blessed Arcanian Empire. You thought it was the beginning of a wonderful new life. You were ready to create a glorious future for yourself and the world around you. And now, is it everything you hope it would be? You have a loving family now, but at the same time, aren't you the reason they keep fighting? They all want you to become an extension of themselves, and there's no way to please them all. You're quite popular with the ladies, and while the attention is flattering, have you met the one who can give you true love? Do the relationships you're building have a future? Despite being the heir of a powerful family, you don't think you can unite it. Trouble is brewing in the Empire, and the people trying to save it will never be able to see eye to eye. The twins have grown distant from you. You are a conduit of the divine will, but you have lost your connection with them. You do not understand their design. You do not hear their voices. You do not feel their blessings. You are alone and lost. The power of your ancestors keep you safe. The blood tide has already helped you numerous times, but sometimes its voice drowns out your own, robbing you of free will. Your ancestors both protect and restrain you. Responsibility weighs on you greatly, the choices you have to make tearing you apart. You went against your principles on several occasions, and it has stretched you thin. Unless the grip on your throat loosens, you might just turn into your father, a person trying to escape his responsibilities, bone tired from bearing the burden of power. Or maybe you'll become someone much, much worse. Recently, you saved the Empire from a crisis by addressing a worried crowd from a palace balcony. You managed to gain your future subjects' trust and become their symbol of hope. Your journey has only just begun, but every step you take today will determine what happens tomorrow. What kind of emperor will you become? What kind of empire will you build? What legacy will you leave for your descendants when the time comes to dissolve yourself in the blood tide? Your new Arcanian life is hardly a bed of roses. Both the Empire and your family have fallen on hard times. You must accept the burden of responsibility that your father was no longer able to carry. But doesn't that fill you with power and a sense of purpose? The fate of the Tempests, as well as the rest of the blessed Arcanian Empire, now lies solely in your hands. Alright, so we have reached the end of the second chapter, The Heir, and now we will move on to the third. However, we won't be moving on to the third in this video. We'll do it in the next video. I will try to cover the entirety of the third chapter And I think I'll just try to balance these out by doing it chapter by chapter instead of just going long as I possibly can, because these are quite long. They are much longer than the life and suffering of Sir Bronte. So yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of balance this out. Otherwise, I'm not gonna have a voice by the end of this. But yeah, I am really enjoying the game so far, and I am really enjoying the writing and everything to a certain degree. I will say I do think again, I do have some issues with choices and stuff like that, but that's always the case when it comes to these choice of style games. It's very hard to kind of balance what you're looking for. And I do like the more, I guess, more of the focus in this game compared to the last game, because the last game kind of seemed like it was all over the place when it came to certain aspects of the story. This one doesn't necessarily seem like that, but it does seem kind of like odd choices were made. Like, I just became the heir. Why did nobody really think about, you know, hey, maybe I should do heir stuff? You know, they didn't think about it until it became a crisis with my father. And I understand that I'm young, but I think in most societies that had these type of things, they started training their kids pretty young when it came to dealing with matters of state and stuff like that. Hell, I probably would have been doing things matter of state wise when I was like 14, because that's when you were usually considered to be a man. But in this case, yeah, it just, everybody was trying to do their own thing, which again, I kind of understand that. It makes sense. But again, it never came up that like, oh, maybe I should be attending council meetings and getting an introduction into the government, meeting all the power players and stuff like that. Maybe attend a soiree or two that other people are having and introduce me into the, you know, the kingdom proper or the empire properly and stuff like that. So yeah, it just, that kind of seems odd to me, you know. At least me, when I play Crusader Kings, I bring my kids up, you know, very harshly when it comes to, you know, at least dealing with raising them in power and stuff like that. But yeah, to me, that just seems like an odd choice. But we'll see how it goes going forward. And again, I think with the romances too, I would have liked to have met these people beforehand, you know, at least get some type of introduction with them to see, you know, what type of people they are. But I kind of got put on the spot, which was good. It was good in a sense because I don't really get the measure of what these people are doing. But again, it would have given me some kind of idea as who these people are and stuff like that, as I said, instead of just popping up. But anyway, that's my rant for this for this time or whatnot. But again, I am still enjoying the game. I'm definitely going to finish it, and I can't wait to play it. I want to see if I can actually play this on the side. I might turn around and see if I can create me a save on the side so I can play this in my spare time. Actually, I just thought about what I can do. I can play it on my other account, because I have a whole nother account that I can turn around and use in good times, aka my wife's account. So if you like the video, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe. I have a lot of things on the channel, and I will have many other things coming in the future. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave it in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So I would like to thank you all for watching this video. The previous video actually did very well. I am very surprised that it did that well. I know a lot of people came to the life and suffering of Sir Bronte because of my previous series on the channel, but it still surprised me that there were a lot of people that were, you know, hankering to see this. So I thank you all for watching, and if you're new here, welcome. Happy to have you. So, but again, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. See you.